Welcome to More Patients, More Impact, More Income, the podcast for real holistic medical practitioners who want to grow their high-impact, high-income practice without selling out. And now, here's your host, Chris Axelrad.
So a lot of people think, okay, look, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to get as many people as I can interested in coming into my clinic. I get that. I mean, I always say that if you don't have a full practice, the most important thing you can do is figure out how to get new patients. That's the one thing you need to learn how to do above all else, is learn how to reliably and consistently get new patients. Otherwise, you're not ever going to build up to where your practice is full. However, there are a lot of people who spend a lot of time and work really, really hard to get new patients, but they can't keep the patients. They don't have any systems in place to retain those patients, to generate referrals from those patients, and really to give the patients the kind of experience that is going to ensure that not only are they loyal to you for life, but they will remember you for life. We get patient referrals all the time at my clinic from people we haven't seen for 10 plus years. Like literally, I will get a new patient in for a free consultation and a name will be in the box that says who can we thank for referring you? And it's a name I recognize because I typically remember all my patients' names. And if you put it in front of me, I'm going to remember that name. Obviously, I can't just recite them, but yeah, I'll see a name and it's like, man, I haven't seen that person since like 11, 12 years ago. And they still think of me. They still remember me. And when somebody asks them, who should I go see? They say my name. When you think about how powerful that is, especially when you're talking about building up a practice over 10, 15, 20 years. And I hope that you're in it for the long term. I hope you're in it for the long haul. Because if you're not in it for the long haul, then in my opinion, you're in it for the wrong reasons. This is about a life commitment. This is about purpose. This is about destiny. And if you're just starting out, if you've only got a year or two under your belt and you find it sometimes discouraging and you find yourself struggling, well, first of all, I would tell you to seriously consider joining my mentorship program because I can accelerate you by at least a decade or more in 1 year. That's how fast people start to get traction once they come into that environment inside what I call the war room. Why is it called the war room? Because, well, if you understand that it takes serious focus and serious planning and a serious commitment to really grow a serious practice that has serious staying power and can make serious money, then you'll understand that when people come into my mentorship program, it's not just some kind of kittens and rainbows, rah-rah coaching program. It's real business tactics, real marketing tactics, real advertising tactics. So you've got to be in this thing for the long haul. And when you have the right frame and bring people into your practice with the right language and the right process, they never forget you because the experience they had is life-changing. And that a lot of people would say that depends on the results. Actually, it does not, because I've had patients who came through my program. The thing is, nobody, and if I haven't talked about this in my podcast before, I'm going to talk about it now. There is no way to guarantee results. There is nothing that always works. Okay. The only thing you can guarantee a patient ever is that you're going to try your best and you're not going to give up. Okay. And sometimes patients don't get the result they came to you for, but they see how hard you try, or they see how sincerely you try, and they see that you never gave up on them. And also they see how well organized and how well thought out your process is. And they have an experience that triggers them to want to help you out. And by helping you out, I mean, they know that you sincerely work to help them, and they very sincerely and very naturally, without you even asking them to do so, want to help you. And they will never forget you. So if you think about building up that kind of momentum over 5, 10, 15 years, and how many people will be referring to you and how many people will be talking about you, it becomes a huge, huge amount of momentum. Now, here's the thing though. Are you working like insanely hard to fill your bucket, yet the bucket has all these holes in it? Like, I want you to think about all of the efforts that you're doing to get new patients. I want you to think about that like a faucet, okay? The faucet is the thing that you're doing to get new patients into your clinic. And typically when I think of the faucet, that's really the analogy that I use to describe ads. Because when you have really good advertising, it does become like a faucet. Like literally you say, okay, you know what? I'm going to turn this faucet on and I'm going to fill the bucket. And once the bucket's full, I can kind of dial it back a little bit. And with ads, you can totally do that. And then like if you're going through a slow period, which by the way, if you're relying 100% on word of mouth, you're always going to have slow periods because you can't control what people are saying and doing outside of your office. You can't suddenly just make people start talking about you. You can do things to keep yourself top of mind. You can use your email list and other things to make sure that people are, remembering you and have the context to refer to you. But at the end of the day, you really don't control whether they open their mouth or not. You don't control who they run into, who might ask them for help if they know someone who can help them. When you know how to advertise, you immediately have a direct channel to literally thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands. In fact, my Facebook ads account, as of today, I started February 1st, 2017, and right now we're in mid-November 2018 as of this recording. My ads have been shown to about 140,000 different people over 900,000 times. All right. So when you have that much visibility and you know how to get your message across the right way, you will have new patients coming in. So there will be water coming into that bucket. And even if you have good word of mouth strategies, you're going to have water coming into the bucket. If you have a really good referral relationship, or you're just crushing it with networking meetings, which I don't know many people that do, but there are people that do crush it with networking. And whatever your faucet is, when the water starts coming out, you better hope that your bucket doesn't have too many holes in it. Because the bottom line is, I see this all the time. People work it super, super hard, and they start to get some traction. They start to get some new patients, and then whoops, they just slip right out and they just fall out of the bucket because there are innumerable holes in their bucket. Now, here's the thing. Most people, and let me go back and say this, I don't mean that everybody has, innumerable holes, okay? There are innumerable ways that we can create holes in that bucket. Most people, it's only like 2 or 3 holes, all right? They're actually very easy to fill. It's one of the reasons why when people come into my program, people start working with me, within 1 to 2 months, they're starting to see an uptick in their patient numbers, and they're starting to see more consistent patient numbers, and they're starting to see actually more consistent referrals. Why? Because typically what we focus on first, and it's different for everybody, and the key is that you actually get one-on-one coaching so that we can actually figure out what's going to be the most critical thing for you to do. So it's not some cookie cutter thing that you have to just, follow step A, B, C, because you might be at step D in your practice. So we're going to have to give you step E, F, G, right? And someone else might be at step K. So we're going to have to give them step L, M, and N to kind of get them going, right? So the point is, not everybody's at the same place. But the bottom line is that when people come into the the program, most of the time, what we start off doing is really figuring out what the holes in their bucket are, and then just closing the holes in the bucket. And just doing that alone, what happens is, I mean, think about it. It's simple, right? The bucket just starts to fill with water. Now, if you've only got a little trickle of new patients coming in and the faucet is only trickling, then that's okay, because when we fill the holes in your bucket, still the bucket is going to fill up faster, meaning your schedule. Your schedule is going to fill up faster. Your practice is going to fill up faster.
If you're ready to fill your practice and keep it full without the stress and overwhelm, then get instant access to your free Autopilot Patient Attraction Playbook now at www.highimpactpracticesystems.com/autopilot.
Rather than like what so many people do, right? Here's what so many people teach, and here's what a lot of the ad agencies and ad gurus will tell you, which is total BS, is that all your problems will be solved by advertising. All you got to do is have a good ad, and then it'll be, paradise. You'll be rolling in money. You'll have more patients than you can handle, and everything will be fine. Nothing could be further from the truth, because I can turn that faucet on absolutely the most high and, prolific setting possible to just push as much water into that bucket as we can. And all that's going to happen is the holes will just get bigger and more water will be coming out the bottom if we don't fill and fix those holes. So that's why so many people end up, you go to an ad agency. And by the way, these days, there's so many people who have no clue how to market. They have no clue how to write copy. They have no clue how to write a really good ad, who are saying that they can run ads for you. They've taken one or two little courses online. They know just enough how to set a basic ad up. They probably barely know anything about retargeting or creating custom audiences or any of that. And they tell you they're going to hook you up. And I've heard and talked to so many people who have been really just lied to and essentially ripped off by these types of quote unquote ad agencies. But they'll try to get people in the front. They'll try to get water coming out of that faucet into your bucket. And sometimes they're able to, right? But again, are you going to be able to, do you have a clear process to, number one, really get those patients on board and committed? This is a sales process. And the sales process that I have and that I teach is actually one of the most low friction, and almost in a way, it's like a no selling sales process, because, and I can't get into the details now, but there's a whole set of what we call micro commitments that lead up to the point where they say yes or no. And we take them through that sequence very intentionally and very clearly, so that by the time they're at the place where they need to decide, am I going to do this or not? They've pretty much talked themselves into it. If you do this right, they will talk themselves into it. And that's exactly what you want to happen. Because when you push people into something they don't really want, it always comes back. It always comes back. I mean, and that happens a lot with a lot of the systems that are being taught in our industry around selling these big upfront packages, about offering these big upfront discounts for prepay and all this kind of stuff, is that people end up doing something they don't really want to do. And then later on, they're bugging you well, which is this my 6th session? Is this my 12th session? I mean, how many more sessions do I have? What they're really saying is, how soon am I going to be fucking finished with this? Because I don't even really want it anymore. Honestly, that's what they're saying. So you don't want that. So that's one of the holes in the bucket right there. That's one of the ways you leak water out of your bucket, is when people come in, they don't make an authentic commitment. And then they're just waiting until their last session so they can get the hell out. And you don't actually ever get referrals from them. In fact, when they're done working with you, they're just God, thank God that's over with. That was nothing like I expected. I didn't have the experience that I actually was hoping to have. And they're just done it. They're just glad it's over with. You don't want that. Another hole that a lot of people have in their bucket is the way they talk to their patients in the clinic does not create a frame of leadership and inspiration. And whenever you want somebody to follow you, and by the way, if you are a healer, if you're a doctor, if you're a practitioner, then guess what? Your primary role is to be a teacher. And in fact, the word doctor, the root word, you can look this up in the dictionary. The root word of doctor is docere, which is a Latin word, or docere, a Latin word to teach. So we are teachers. That's our primary job, is to teach and lead. These days, doctors are mostly technicians, thanks to the really mechanistic scientific view that still dominates conventional medicine. Even though science has moved way beyond that, cutting edge science is way, way beyond the mechanistic model. But conventional medicine is still very much stuck in this model that everything is just this machine with gears. You just got to find the right gear, turn the right screw, and boom, everything's going to start working again. And there's really no involvement on the patient's part at all. And obviously that model is a dying model, but it's still dominant. And it's the same thing when we have our patients, okay, coming in, and we don't have that clear frame of leadership and inspiration. Then we are also playing that same game of being a technician, being a fixer. When that happens, people will lose interest really, really fast, especially the people who you're attracting into your clinic based on a message of, I can help you with this problem, and this is a natural solution. And they actually want to learn the basic things about how to take better care of themselves. They want to gain more control over their situation. And if you don't know how to teach, you don't know how to lead, and you're not using the right language patterns, and you're not really positioning yourself the right way with your speech, then you're going to lose patients and you're not going to get the kind of referrals you want. So that's another leak in the bucket. I think the third biggest leak that I see in people's proverbial practice bucket would be follow-up. People just get their patients in, and even if the patient gets good results, and then it's like, bye, see you later, and there's literally zero communication with their patient population. Like, in my clinic, we have in our patient list over 7,000 people. Okay, I know it's kind of crazy to even hear that. I can't even believe that since 2004 up until now, that's how many people have come through my clinic. But that is how many people have come through my clinic, and around 4,000 of them are still on my email list, right? So that's 4,000 people that if I just communicate with them from time to time, share something cool with them, then they're going to be followed up with, and they're going to continue to think about me and remember me and really have good vibes about me. Because what am I doing? I'm sharing helpful things with them. I'm being proactive about really continuing that frame of leadership and inspiration, albeit remotely through email, but still it has a really, really powerful effect. And a lot of people are either afraid to write their newsletter, or they don't even know what to say in their newsletter. And I get that. With there's some really simple formulas and really simple templates that I use that get amazing results and are super easy to write. Like, literally, I can sit down and write an email in about 15 minutes. The emails are short and they're to the point in plain English, just like I'm writing a letter to a friend. And I'll tell you what, every time I send one of these out, and I usually send them out at least once a week, patients will come in that are active patients, and they'll be like, man, I really love the emails you send out. I really love those emails. So we get good feedback on them. The other thing is they forward them to their friends, and we always get a bump in referrals whenever we send those emails out. So again, the three big holes are: one, essentially a crappy sales process, a crappy onboarding process. Like, the first impression is just horrible, right? And then you lose them on the front end. The second one is you're not using the right language in clinic that inspires your patients to follow you and to actually, do what you are wanting them to do so that they can help themselves. And then the third is the follow-up, like just zero to minimal to, or crappy follow-up that nobody really wants to even read your emails because you're not talking about anything relevant. So make sure that your bucket can hold water. That doesn't mean stop trying to get new patients. Of course, you always need to be promoting. You always, always, always need to be out there with your message. And that should never stop. And it's easier than ever to do that because guess what? We have these automated advertising platforms that anybody can use. I mean, it just blows my mind that people still don't have patience, that when you can literally take a electronic thing out of your pocket called a smartphone and download an app called Ads Manager from Facebook, and you can put an ad together right there. Like while you're in line at the grocery store, while you're waiting at the doctor's office, I don't know, whatever it is that you're doing, you can actually just create an ad. I mean, never before in history has it been easier to get your message out. It just blows my mind. But advertising is easier than ever, and there's just no excuse. There really isn't. So anyway, if you're interested, I can help you for sure. You've heard the link that was mentioned here. Hit that link and you'll be taken to my website, and you can check out a lot of the free stuff I have. And of course, I'd love to have you in my program if it's a good fit. So that's totally up to you. But regardless, here's the thing. Make sure you got your shit together in clinic so that you're not just throwing money down the drain. You're not just pouring water into that leaky bucket. And I promise you, if you make sure that you have equal attention on both what's going on in the clinic and what's going on outside the clinic, as far as new patient leads and stuff like that, then guess what? That's what's going to build you the incredible momentum that's going to take you to the next level.
This is the podcastfactory.com.